1,000 years from now, Earth could still be holding evidence of us. Not voices, not traffic. Evidence. A road line buried under roots. A tower leaning into open air. A city grid still visible from above, but empty at ground level. The question is not whether humans were here. The question is how long Earth would need to bury the case. The first clue appears on day 1. Every human being is gone. The streets do not collapse, the towers do not fall, the planet does not instantly turn wild. At first, the scene is unsettling because it looks almost ordinary. Cars sit where they stopped, bikes lie in the open, city squares fill with animals that were always living at the edge of our world. Squirrels, dogs, cats, the occasional police horse, and in some places, a coyote bold enough to walk downtown. Times Square is empty, Shibuya Crossing is empty, but the lights still work. Traffic signals keep changing for pedestrians who will never step off the curb. Neon still glows over streets with no crowds to reflect it. The first hours after humanity are not silent darkness. They are a machine continuing its routine after the operators have vanished. That is the first contradiction in the evidence. Human civilization looks automated, but it was never truly independent. Hydroelectric plants and nuclear power stations can keep running for a while. They were built with sensors, controls, and safeguards. But those safeguards expect people to return, inspect, reset, and respond. Within about a week, most of those plants trip routine breakers that a human supervisor would normally reset. No one does, so the large power systems begin to shut themselves down. Hospitals last a little longer in patches. Diesel generators kick in, keeping lights and machines alive inside buildings that are suddenly serving no one. But backup fuel is finite. In many hospitals, those generators burn through what they have in about 48 hours. Natural gas generators can keep running longer, but longer is not the same as forever. The grid is now a chain of unattended promises. Compressors need power. Distribution stations need pressure. Control rooms need decisions. Maintenance crews need to exist. They do not. Within weeks, natural gas systems begin to fail from pressure drops and power outages. In cold regions, heating systems that ran automatically begin to die. Homes, apartments, offices, schools, and hotels cool down room by room. In warmer regions, another clock is already running. Food begins to rot. The first month after humanity is not clean abandonment. It is the breakdown of comfort into smell, rupture, fire, and hunger. Electricity is mostly gone. Heat is mostly gone. Running water is mostly gone. Pipes freeze and burst in winter towns, flooding houses and apartment blocks from the inside. Fires and explosions become common because the systems that prevent small failures from becoming disasters were never meant to be ignored indefinitely. Behind locked doors, the survivors are not people. They are cockroaches. Pets trapped in apartments starve. Farm animals trapped in barns or enclosures die unless they escape. Zoo animals face the same choice: find a way out or slowly disappear behind the walls humans built around them. The animals that do escape move into a world without meaningful fences, without traffic, without feeding schedules, and without alarms answered by anyone. Feral dogs gather in streets, much like the packs seen in abandoned zones around Chernobyl. Cities begin to keep the outline of civilization, but take on the behavior of wilderness. And yet, the evidence still does not point to instant ruin. Some places resist the darkness longer. A city built around renewable power has an advantage. Solar panels keep converting sunlight. Wind turbines still turn. Hydroelectric systems still churn. In Reykjavik, geothermal power can keep working after other systems fail. For a while, parts of the post-human world would still be lit by the forces we learned to harvest: sunlight, wind, water, and heat from the earth itself. But the same hidden weakness remains. Complex power systems have fail-safes. They have breakers. They have rules that require monitoring and correction. A renewable grid is still a grid, and grids are managed systems, not living organisms. Without human direction, the shutdown spreads. Within a year, every urban center is dark, cold, and quiet. Day 1. The cities still look alive. Week 1. Major power plants begin tripping offline. Month 1. Electricity, heat, and running water have mostly failed. Year 1. The modern city has gone dark. But there is a strange exception hidden inside this collapse. If one person somehow remained, that person might not be doomed immediately. The shelves of the old world would still be full. Canned food would exist in huge quantities. Bottled water would remain. Fuel could be burned. Shelter would be everywhere. With basic camping knowledge, a survivor could last for a while. With enough skill, they could set up a local solar system, keep small lights running, and begin farming. The problem would not be the absence of things. The problem would be the absence of answers. No internet, no search bar, no instant explanation of how to wire the panels, repair the pump, store the crop, or diagnose the failure. The old knowledge would still exist, but it would be trapped in books, manuals, libraries, and human memory. The most valuable artifact in the empty city might not be gold, fuel, or weapons. It might be a shelf of instructions. Outside that narrow survival problem, the larger evidence continues to change. The buildings still stand, the roads still exist, the bridges still span rivers. But maintenance has stopped everywhere at once, and maintenance was the quiet act holding the built world against weather, roots, rust, pressure, and time. Nature does not need to attack all at once. It only needs the doors left open. Weeds push through cracks in pavement. Seeds settle into gutters. Rain finds weaknesses in roofs. Fungi enter damp interiors. Plants begin using the smallest failures as entry points into the human domain. During periods when human activity slowed, people sometimes described nature as healing. Many of those claims were exaggerated or false. But in this world, there is no return of traffic, no reopening of offices, no crews to cut back growth, no one to sweep, seal, drain, repaint, pump, trim, or rebuild. This time, nature is not visiting, it is taking possession. But before Earth can erase us, the case has to answer one uncomfortable question. How did all humans vanish while leaving the cities standing? The cause matters because not every end of humanity leaves the same evidence behind. If something from space destroys us, the planet will not look like a museum. It will look like a disaster scene. Scientists have watched threats from beyond Earth, including the massive and unstable white dwarf in the binary T-Pyxidus system, about 3,000 light-years away. It is estimated to go supernova in about 10 million years, and a blast like that could threaten the ozone layer. Now imagine a larger or closer star we failed to notice in time. A gamma-ray burst powerful enough to reach Earth could strip away the conditions life depends on. In the most extreme version, particles moving at 99% the speed of light could devastate the atmosphere, tear at the planet's surface, and leave Earth sterilized. At that scale, the disappearance of humanity would not be the main event. The evidence itself would be destroyed with us. An asteroid gives a different version of the case. A runaway interstellar object entering the solar system at high speed would carry enormous destructive power. The source example gives one moving nearly 7 kilometers per second. If something like that struck Earth, the damage could exceed the asteroid impact linked to the end of the dinosaurs. The Chicxulub impact 65 million years ago burned forests, threw vast amounts of material into the atmosphere, and helped create a global winter. A similar or greater impact now would not simply remove people. It would erase large portions of what people built. Cities could be flattened, landscapes could burn, the atmosphere could fill with debris. The world after that would not be a clean experiment in abandonment. it would be an impact aftermath. A nuclear war creates another false trail. During the second half of the 20th century, mutually assured destruction hung over the world. That danger has not disappeared. Humanity still has more than 12,000 nuclear weapons. A large exchange could kill millions quickly, then billions through radiation and nuclear winter. But even that does not fit the scene. Nuclear war would leave destruction, contamination, burned cities, broken infrastructure, and a damaged climate. It might end civilization, it might kill humanity, but it would not leave every city standing exactly as it was, emptied in place. So the cleanest answer is not the loudest one. It is the one that removes the people while sparing the stage. A biological superbug could do that. A bioengineered virus or bacterium released widely by malicious actors is a scenario that has haunted human imagination since the atomic age. During Cold War fears about the end of the world, stories imagined pathogens capable of pushing civilization toward collapse. At the time, much of it belonged to thrillers and science fiction. But the modern concern is no longer only fiction. Researchers now worry about what could happen when rogue scientists, advanced tools, and artificial intelligence intersect with biology. Microbiologists recently faced a glimpse of that acceleration when AI solved a complex antibiotic problem involving a superbug, a problem that had taken researchers years, in only a couple of days. That is the contradiction. The same tools that could help medicine move faster could also help danger move faster. 2 years ago, scientists warned against research into creating mirror-life bacteria. The idea had a promising side. It could help develop targeted, long-lasting drugs. But the risk was severe. Such bacteria could potentially kill life exposed to it. In this version of the timeline, humanity does not fall because bridges collapse or power plants explode. The disappearance begins in biology. A pathogen spreads. People die. The buildings remain. Or the culprit could be mechanical at a microscopic scale. Tiny, self-replicating nanobots, designed like a robotic superbug, could break down human biology in minutes and leave behind molecular dust and residue. The mechanism would be different from a biological pathogen, but the crime scene would look almost the same. Every city standing, every room left as it was, every building preserved at the moment human presence ended. That is the most disturbing version because the world would not look destroyed, it would look interrupted. A cup on a table, a car in a lane, a phone on a counter, a train never boarded, a school without footsteps, a hospital with no patients, no doctors, and no one left to hear the generators fail. Humanity gone, but the human world still intact. A pristine replica of civilization without civilization inside it. Then the real erasure begins. The first decade after disappearance would be violent, but not always in the places people expect. The first major losses would not be monuments. They would be the invisible systems that made monuments seem permanent. No inspections, no firefighting, no irrigation, no dam management, no crews clearing drains, repairing roads, checking pressure, or cutting vegetation away from power lines and structures. Forests that humans heavily managed would be unprotected for the first time in decades. Fires would spread with no one to contain them. Megafires would rip through landscapes, and where cities bordered wildland, fire would enter the built environment. Houses would burn. Industrial zones would burn. Neighborhoods that once depended on emergency response would face flame without resistance. The speed of collapse now accelerates because every disaster creates the next one. A fire weakens a roof. Rain enters, mold spreads, beams rot, animals nest, plants take root. Freeze and thaw split surfaces open. One damaged building becomes many damaged buildings because no one repairs the first failure. Without irrigation, farmland begins to change. Former fields dry out, crops vanish, soil is exposed. Storms can turn productive wheat belts into dust bowls and desert-like landscapes. The agricultural map, one of the clearest human signatures on Earth, starts to blur. Dams introduce another danger. For centuries, humans lived and farmed in valleys shaped by controlled water. But a dam is not just a wall. It is an obligation. It needs monitoring, gates, spillways, sediment management, structural checks, and emergency decisions. Without people, water keeps arriving. Reservoirs rise, systems clog. Storms push volumes beyond what neglected structures can manage. Some dams overtop, some fail. When they burst, valleys that humans occupied for generations flood again. Whole, settled landscapes can be erased not by a new force, but by an old river getting its authority back. Out of fire, dust, and flood, the next witnesses arrive, plants and fungus. They do not wait for permission. They enter sidewalks, basements, roofs, fields, stations, courtyards, and parking lots. They turn cracks into root paths. They convert trapped moisture into rot. They cover signs, soften wood, split stone, and pull the human surface downward into soil. This is where the mystery of erasure becomes harder to see, because the earliest losses are not spectacular. The first losses are invisible. Not the skyscraper falling, not the bridge snapping, not the statue disappearing. The first losses are documents no one protects, climate systems no one powers, pumps no one restarts, pressure no one regulates, basements no one dries, doors no one opens, freezers no one keeps cold, archives no one guards from mold. Human civilization depends on constant, tiny acts of prevention. Remove those acts, and the case begins closing itself. A city can look permanent because its failures are usually repaired before anyone notices them. But without humans, the unnoticed failures become the record. Water enters a wall, a pipe bursts, a breaker trips, a roof drain clogs, a seed germinates in debris, a road shoulder crumbles, a wildfire crosses a boundary that used to matter only because people defended it. By the end of the first decade, the world is not erased, but the direction is clear. The lights are gone, the heat is gone, the water systems are gone. Animals have redrawn the map at street level. Fire has taken some places. Flood has reclaimed others. Farms have begun to fail into dust or wild growth. Plants and fungus are no longer decorating the ruins. They are operating on them. The evidence of humanity still stands, but the chain of custody has been broken, and once that happens, every trace begins moving away from us. After the first decade, the question is no longer whether Earth can survive without us. It can. The real question is how long the evidence of us can keep standing once every repair stops. The answer begins in ordinary places: houses, apartments, condos, office blocks, the daily architecture of human life. At first, these structures do not fail like ruins in a film. They fail by letting weather inside. A window sill dries and splits. A roof shingle lifts. Snow gets under an edge. Rain finds a weak point. A tiny leak becomes a stain, then a soft spot, then a wound that never closes. Modern homes may be built with a lifespan of 50 to 100 years, but that promise assumes maintenance. Roofs are not permanent shields. They are systems under constant attack from sunlight, ice, wind, branches, heat, and water. Without people replacing tiles, clearing gutters, sealing flashing, and cutting back trees, the roof becomes the first major witness to fail. Within 10 or 20 years, many residential roofs would begin giving way. Once that happens, the house is no longer a shelter. It is a container for rain. Wet drywall does not simply get ugly. It becomes a habitat. Mold spreads across walls. Mushrooms push from damp corners. Moss grips surfaces once kept dry by heat and ventilation. Insects move into furniture. books, clothing, documents, and all the small possessions that once made a house feel personal. The rooms still have the shape of human rooms, but their purpose has changed. They are no longer preserving a life. They are feeding decay. Within 20 to 30 years, waterlogged houses begin collapsing inward. Ceilings sag, floors buckle, wall cavities rot. A bedroom becomes a depression under a broken roof. A kitchen becomes a damp pocket of roots, spores, and insects. The house does not disappear all at once. It loses its argument with water piece by piece. Downtown, the same case plays out on a larger scale. Residential towers and office buildings depend on seals, gaskets, window systems, pumps, drainage, climate control, inspections, and repair crews. When those systems age without help, the glass skin of the city starts to break. Around the same period that homes are failing, big windows in towers begin to loosen and fall. Full-sized panes drop from high residential blocks and smash on the streets below. One window breaks, then another. Then whole floors are opened to weather. A skyscraper can survive wind from the outside, but an abandoned tower is slowly attacked from the inside. Open windows invite rain, snow, plants, birds, insects, and temperature swings into spaces engineered to stay sealed. Moisture seeps into floors, walls warp. Interior materials swell, split, and rot. Steel corrodes. Rebar inside concrete expands as it rusts, and that expansion fractures the concrete around it. The skeleton starts injuring its own body. Within roughly 50 years, many cheaper condos and office towers would slump, shear, or collapse. The skyline would not vanish evenly. Some buildings would stand longer because they were better designed or more robustly built. Others would fail early because their strength depended on maintenance, drainage, coatings, and repairs that no longer exist. The city would become a timeline of construction quality, recording what humans built quickly, what they built carefully, and what they assumed someone else would keep maintaining. Then the failures move outward to bridges, overpasses, elevated roads, and the infrastructure that once made cities feel connected. Concrete cracks, especially in cold regions where water enters seams, freezes, expands, thaws, and repeats the attack season after season. Freeze and thaw does not need drama, it just needs time. Steel bridges rust, suspension systems weaken, cables, struts, and ropes that once had inspection schedules and replacement plans are left to weather alone. Then one day, the balance goes. A cable snaps, a span twists, a bridge that once carried thousands of people a day drops into the river, the valley, or the sea beneath it. For the first time, the collapse is not just a building losing its roof. It is the map losing its lines. Roads still exist, but they no longer guarantee passage. A city can no longer be crossed the way it was designed to be crossed. The geometry of human movement has been broken. While the built world falls apart, the living world expands into the vacancy. There is evidence for this kind of rebound. Korea's demilitarized zone has been largely closed to humans since the 1950s. It is a narrow strip of land shaped by political division, yet within that absence of ordinary human pressure, wildlife has found refuge. A dangerous border became, in ecological terms, a protected corridor. That is one of the strangest reversals in the whole story. Remove daily human activity, and even land marked by conflict can become a haven for biodiversity. Within 100 years, most modern infrastructure would be gone or collapsing. Not every trace, not every wall, but the systems that define the modern world, the towers, roads, bridges, electrical networks, suburbs, and industrial buildings, would mostly have failed. What remains standing after a century would be the stubborn older evidence: stone buildings, masonry, monuments, cathedrals, government buildings, places of worship, structures built with heavy materials, simple forms, and traditions that existed before glass towers and lightweight panels became ordinary. Some stone buildings have already survived for 1,000 years or more, but that survival usually includes a missing detail. People repaired them. People replaced stones, cleared water, reinforced cracks, rebuilt roofs, and stopped plants from prying joints apart. Without that care, even the strongest monuments enter the same trial as everything else. The Pantheon in Rome is an outlier. It has stood for more than 1,900 years, helped by extraordinary engineering and a form of Roman concrete known for unusual durability. But even the Pantheon is not immune to endless weather, shifting ground, plant growth, and the loss of every human intervention. After 1,000 years, the great monuments finally begin to lose. Cathedrals collapse, landmarks topple, the Statue of Liberty lies broken, the Pantheon's pillars crumble, and its dome cracks apart into dust. By this point, the skyline is no longer a skyline. The glass and steel towers of commerce have rusted, folded, and fallen into heaps. Cities have become fields of rubble, with only the most durable forms still recognizable. Stone temples, funeral mounds, the pyramids, structures designed with mass, simplicity, and long time in mind. Yet even these do not remain proudly exposed forever. The land begins to cover them. Forests grow over the ruins. Roots enter cracks. Soil gathers in corners. Sand moves across old stone. The Sphinx is buried again. At this stage, one obvious suspect is plastic. Plastic feels like the perfect clue, the material that refuses to vanish. But even plastic changes. Many plastics can take decades to centuries to degrade into smaller pieces, often somewhere between about 20 and 500 years, depending on conditions and composition. They do not simply vanish on command. They fragment, weather, scatter, and sink into sediments. They become less like visible artifacts and more like a chemical and geological smear. After 10,000 years, nature has grown over almost everything. From the air, the case looks nearly closed. A visitor flying overhead might see forest, grassland, desert, wetland, and coast, but no obvious city grid announcing that a technological civilization once lived below. The evidence is still there, but it has changed categories. It is no longer architecture, it is archaeology. The most important clue is now underground. If a future intelligence had LiDAR or a similar way to read the shape of buried land, it could still uncover old human structures the way humans have uncovered older civilizations. Buried buildings can survive long after the surface forgets them. In the 1990s, researchers recognized the remarkable age of the ruins of Göbekli Tepe in southern Turkey. From the surface, it was a mound with no obvious prehistoric walls. Under the soil, it held monumental structures built more than 11,000 years ago. In Scotland, the Knapp of Howard preserved a small stone farmhouse beneath peat for more than 5,000 years. These are not modern cities, but they prove the principle. Burial can destroy visibility while preserving form. The same pattern appears at Tikal, where great Maya temples were abandoned to the jungle for more than 1,000 years. When rediscovered, the forest had swallowed them so completely that only limestone tips rose from the hills. But beneath the growth, the buildings and burial sites remained remarkably intact, and the steps could still be climbed. In China, the terracotta warriors rested in the mausoleum of the first Qin emperor, Qin Shi Huang, for more than 2,000 years before discovery, many still astonishingly preserved. The hidden pattern is almost too neat. The longest-lasting human marks are often buildings for the dead, tombs, burial chambers, funeral monuments, gravestones. Places designed not for daily life, but for memory. The shopping centers go early. The glass towers go early. The suburbs rot and cave in, but the graves remain for a while. time keeps pressing the case. After 100,000 years, even the most durable buried wonders are badly diminished. The terracotta warriors crumble. Maya temples weather down. Concrete breaks into sand. Steel becomes iron oxide, then part of the soil. Plants, fungi, erosion, water, wind, freezing, thawing, and geological movement keep working without interruption. Cities survive only as faint rises in the land, low mounds where millions of people once moved, worked, slept, and believed the streets were permanent. If you stood above the former Mexico City, or looked across the place where Tokyo once spread to the horizon, the view would seem untouched. Forest, grassland, jungle, wet earth. No traffic, no engines, no towers, no glowing windows. The soundscape has changed completely. Instead of roads and machines, there are insects, wind, birds, and wild animals moving through recovered habitat. By now, nature has not just returned to the margins, it has rewritten the center. Species once pushed toward disappearance would have room to expand again. Sumatran orangutans could spread across parts of Southeast Asia. Amur leopards, once driven below 200 individuals, could again hunt in greater numbers across the former Russia-China border. On African plains, without fences and poaching pressure, large migrations could grow in scale. Black rhinos, mountain gorillas, and other endangered animals could rebuild populations. California condors could fly over the West Coast in flocks again. Human absence becomes a vast habitat release. But one living trace of us might remain visible on the surface longer than almost any building. Domestic animals. Cats would likely manage without much ceremony. Dogs are the more revealing legacy. Dingoes evolved in Australia thousands of years ago from dogs, not from wolves. They became wild hunters, shaped by environment and time. In a world 100,000 years after humans, the descendants of surviving dogs could become something similar in principle, pack hunters with deep ancestry and domestication. They would not be pets anymore, they would be wildlife. But their existence would still point backward. Humanity's longest living flag might not be a monument. It might be a lineage, a body plan, a behavior, a predator descended from animals we once fed, named, trained, and brought into our homes. Then the trail moves below ground, because some of the hardest evidence to erase is not exposed to weather at all. Humans have found cave paintings more than 50,000 years old at sites across the planet, from Europe to Brazil to Indonesia. That proves images and human activity can survive deep time when protected by rock, darkness, and stable conditions. So our own underground spaces could outlast the surface ruins. Mine shafts, subway tunnels, old graffiti, bunkers, the Churchill war rooms, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, built to preserve seeds in Arctic conditions, with hundreds of millions of seeds stored as biological backup. Deep geological repositories drilled hundreds of meters underground to hold nuclear waste. The final human archive might not be a library. It might be a seed vault, or a nuclear waste site. That is the contradiction at the center of the evidence. The same species that painted animals on cave walls and built cathedrals also buried radioactive material deep under rock and engineered vaults for seeds it feared losing. A future intelligence digging through the planet might not find our proudest story first. It might find our emergency plans, our warnings, our storage chambers, and our waste. But even underground, nothing is exempt forever. Tunnels collapse, shafts flood, bunkers crack, vaults shift. The Earth moves slowly, but it never stops moving. Over millions of years, tectonic plates slide across the planet's interior. Rock is folded, buried, uplifted, eroded, and in some places, subducted into the mantle. Human structures caught in that machinery are ground down, transformed, or carried into geological cycles far beyond anything they were designed to withstand. Above ground, life continues changing. Animals evolve, plants adapt, ecosystems reorganize. Eventually, another intelligence might arise, perhaps from descendants of great apes such as orangutans or gorillas, perhaps from another branch entirely, an ocean mind, a tool-using bird, a species no human ever imagined would inherit the puzzle. One day, that intelligence might dig into ancient layers and ask the same kind of questions we ask when we uncover bones, tools, paintings, and ruins. Who were these beings? Why did they build so much? Why did they vanish from the surface record? And what were they trying to leave behind? This is where the answer turns. Earth can erase almost every visible trace of humanity. It can take our houses, towers, bridges, roads, monuments, statues, tunnels, and buried chambers. It can cover our cities with forests, grind our steel into soil, fracture our concrete into sand, and fold our deepest sites into moving rock. But Earth does not erase everything quickly. It keeps records in layers. We know this because fossils have survived from animals that lived tens or hundreds of millions of years ago. Evidence of life reaches back billions of years, including ancient stromatolites more than 3 billion years old. If stone can preserve traces that old, then humanity would almost certainly leave something. Bones, teeth, tool marks, chemical signatures, buried objects, fossils formed by chance in sediments where bodies, waste, structures, or materials were trapped before they could be destroyed. Not a clean museum of civilization, not a perfect city under glass. Fragments, signals, strange layers that say something happened here. So the final answer is not simple erasure. It is a long conversion. First, civilization becomes ruins. Then ruins become archaeology. Then archaeology becomes geology. Then geology becomes a faint clue inside a planet that has kept moving the whole time. For billions of years, some trace of us could remain buried in Earth's record. Not the names we gave ourselves, not the borders we argued over, not the lights of our cities, but something smaller, harder, and stranger. A tooth, a bone, a fossilized trace. Maybe a remnant from an ordinary person who never imagined becoming evidence. In the end, Earth does not need to remember us the way we want it to be remembered. It only needs to keep one mark. And it may keep that mark until the planet itself nears its final chapter, when the sun enters its red giant phase in about 5 billion years. By then, nearly everything we built will be gone. Every skyline, every monument, every bridge, every home, every room where someone once thought the world outside could be held back by a roof, a window, and a locked door. But somewhere, deep below the surface, a last fragment may still remain. Not proof of our greatness, not proof of our permanence, just proof that we were here. And after all that time, that may be the one trace Earth never fully takes away.